me a good visual. So 20 degrees of wrist extension, right? 20 to 30? Okay. So there she's at 30. A little less than 30. If I can even, like I said, it's hard when you can't see through here. Yeah, so she's about 25 there. Good. So she's not all the way back there, right? It's about right there.
And P's at 40.
And P's at 40. Okay. So, and we're measuring the
First and last, I think.
The two outside ones. So you do your small. So there's 40 degrees. And then it's a little bit more than 40. About there. And then slide IP flexion.
I lost my spot. I'm 10.
Okay. So then just so she's
10 and 10.
barely there. And then thumb is
45. Palmer.
she's probably pretty close right there. Yeah, so she's about 40 right there. So that's pretty good positioning right there. Once again, it's one of those things where if you're on for almost all of your measurements and just off a little bit, do you really want to put your whole splint back in to correct it? Got to think about it. All right, so when I first start, I'm going to get my thumb portion first. I'm really coming into the whip space. Okay, so the thumb looks like it's going to be pretty good. And I know that it's going to stretch a little bit, but not too much. But I got to make sure that it's going to be at least long enough. Could probably make it a little bit, but I'll just pull it a little bit longer, so that's pretty good there. And a lot of times if you just have your patient look away, because they're going to try to think that they're helping you, and they're really not. Okay. So that's a pretty good pattern. Probably going to be a little bit long. And I can always trim up the sides a little bit. Okay, but if I realized that there was something wrong with it, obviously you can always add tape and make it longer or, wider, or you can cut it off. But if you're like, oh no, I don't have enough paper or it wasn't long enough, you can always just add with tape. It's my 4-year-old's favorite thing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and trace it on with my marker. I'm going to leave just a little bit, maybe a centimeter compared to my paper, just so I can cut on the inside of it. Now this part's pretty much impossible not to have a yellow mark. So if this is the only place your yellow mark is, then we won't count off.
Which part?
The thumb part. Like this part right here that I'm cutting. Here's my flap, because you're only making one cut in there.
Okay.
So you're going to have yellow there. Okay. Now the little splint pans, we're not going to use today. We've had issues with them making things real sticky, but you got to have a big splint pan because even this one isn't going to fit all the way. So what I'm going to do so that it does, I'm going to soften this in, soften that end up, and then cut it off, and then I'll be able to put the whole thing in. If these were my scissors that have just been demolished over 5 years, I would just cut it off, but since they're your new ones, I'm not going to do it too. Wrongly. Just a little bit. So with this material, you have a lot of time, so don't freak out and try to get in a big hurry, because you need it to cool off just a little bit before putting it on your patient. You can relax. soft enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut. And then it should all fit in there. As it softens, it's going to go. Hopefully I don't. So with this, you're going to have to push a little bit harder, this material, compared to the Aquaplast. And it has less drapeability, so it's not going to stretch out so much, which is what you're going to need with somebody, usually if they have any kind of tone. And this one's hard just to make if it's real if you have high drapeability, because it's just going to, with gravity, so it's going to pull it and stretch it out.
How do you know when it's hot enough?
It's really soft. You can cut off a little piece of it if you want to test before. I'd say a good 2 minutes, maybe not even that much. It's probably good right now. That's pretty soft. But see how it's just different? So I'm going to take it out and cut it, and depending on how long it takes me to cut, I might have to put it back in. Alright, so whenever I cut, so I'm going to make sure I'm on the inside. I'm going to come back and do that portion. And then I'm done with that. And then I'm going to turn it. Now this keeps you from getting a lot of fingerprints on it. And it's not stretching out because I'm not having to hold it in the air. It's pretty much against the table. And I'm going to have to reheat this before.
Does this material have a high memory?
Yeah.
Does that material stick to the table as bad as that?
Well, it shouldn't. The Aquaplast shouldn't have been as bad as it was either. I don't know if it's just the split pans or what's going on with it.
Will it stick to itself like that?
Yeah. Alright, just because I'm kind of anal, I'm going to get rid of my yellow. See? Sticks. Alright, so you will, okay, so here we are. Okay? So you'll find that I'm not even going to get it perfect, I'm sure, with all my numbers and all that.